All right, guys, welcome to Beyond the Mat podcast. We're doing a little Wrestlemania Fallout show here. I got a guest with me, Chris, who was actually at the event. Chris, how you doing? Why don't you
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me on the podcast and everything else. We have a lot of interesting topics to talk about with the whole rundown of WrestleMania and Raw and SmackDown. So I'm excited to, chop things up with you.
exactly? Me too, man. So, how'd you get into wrestling to begin with? Everybody's sort of got their own pathway.
Yeah. So it was probably around 2007, and for everyone, I'm 21, so I haven't been watching for too long. But yeah, about 2007. I remember I used to go with my grandparents every weekend, and it happened to be a Friday night, and my grandpa actually was watching it, and I remember I sat down on the couch and I was like I asked him like, Papa, like, what's this? Like, what are you watching? He's like, oh, it's wrestling, and then from there, I think at that time Batista was real big and stuff like that, and I remember him having a match on SmackDown, and right away I was just hooked. I was like, wow, like I haven't seen anything like this. So from there, he went and ended up buying me the old school WWE title, the one that Lesnar had, I think, before the spin. So yeah, that was like a cool thing. And then yeah, basically I just got into it from there, and I've been a fan ever since. And I used to till his dying day in 2015. I always told him I was gonna end up going to a WrestleMania for him. So I've been fortunate to attend two of them now. So
That's cool, man. That's a pretty good story. You know, got the bond with your grandparents and stuff like that, and I'm sure being at the event, feels
yeah,
special to you, things like that.
oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
That's pretty cool. I got into it when I was probably around the same age as you. Like I'm 33 now, so but I got into it in the just around the beginning of the Attitude Era and was fan through that period of time, and then throughout the 2000s, probably from like 2002 to 2011, I was on and off a little bit, but I've utilized the network to update myself on pretty much everything that happened. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I feel you
Yeah,
because for sure, like with me being like younger, I grew up really in the ruthless aggression, so I didn't really get to ever see and like witness the Attitude Era like actually like happening. Even like the Monday Night Wars with WCW, I went back and I've watched like a whole bunch of old footage because like I always like hear about these great matches, Rock and Austin and Kane and Taker and all this stuff. So it's like I had to go like back and rewatch it. So
yeah. The main storylines they had back then with McMahon and stuff like that, and some of the like Survivor Series '98, that pay per view was so great. The way that they had the story going, and they had Rock do a double turn, and The Rock was like, so I was a fan of wrestling no matter what, but the Rock for some reason, like when he started to really blow up, was the guy who really got me like let my eyes glued to the screen, and that was around the time that everybody that Stone Cold was basically white hot, and for
yeah,
whatever,
running the whole company.
yeah, and for whatever, and this was actually right when um, after Stone Cold had gotten hurt and everything, and so The Rock was being featured a little bit more. Just for some reason,
Yeah,
like I just thought The Rock was the coolest fucking guy. You know,
yeah.
I was
For
like,
me, it would have to be probably Jeff Hardy, which is like kind of like he's here and there a lot, but like with all of his personal problems and stuff like that. But that was just the guy for me. I remember growing up, I was almost in tears whenever he won the WWE title at Armageddon 2008 against Triple H and Ed in that triple threat. And man, I was ecstatic because I had all the armbands, the T-shirts, the necklaces. I was huge on the Hardy Boys and especially Jeff. So I'm excited to see him in AEW.
yeah, evidently they had a pretty high impact match the other night. They had a big like table ladders and chairs match or something. Jeff jumped off a ladder, but the Hardy Boys back in the Attitude Era, like they were just coming up as the tag team, doing the TLC matches with Edge and Christian and with the Dudley Boys, and I
Yep.
remember at that point in time, like Edge and the Hardy Boys and Pete and Christian, they were so young, and they were people would talk about them as being the future of the WWE, and I remember like being so happy like in 2005, 6, 7, 8 when those guys were like the champions and stuff like that. Because there was a period of time when like Brock Lesnar came and things like that where it didn't look like it might not happen, you know.
Yeah.
But then they had their day. So, but so with WrestleMania, man, what'd you think overall of number 38?
So overall, I feel like it was like a really solid pay-per-view. Like I feel like there was a lot of like high quality matches, and along with like them ending some feuds and storylines that were getting kind of stale. So I feel like it like after Mania, we're gonna like really get to like freshen things up and see some new opponents for some of these people with the titles and go from there. But overall, I really enjoyed it. My favorite match, if we go like based off of like nights, night one, I really enjoyed seeing Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. I think that was a really good match. And then obviously that Bianca and Becky, like they tore the house down. Like they're two of the best female competitors that they have in the company, in my eyes, and a lot of other people's eyes too. So like I was really like excited for like them being able to have that moment together, like the stare down before the match starts, and like them just taking it all in, And I appreciate like what the women do. Like it's come a long way from like I said back when we first started watching wrestling. So I appreciate the women more now.
Yeah, I agree that both of those matches would be my same exact. I would say the same exact thing. Those were the two best of the night. The whole intro and reveal of Cody was so big. It didn't matter who came out. It just felt like such a big moment, and they did it
Yep.
so well with the pyro going up the ramp, and then his voice coming over the loudspeaker, and then the song coming on, and him coming out, and him coming up the elevator, and then the graphic for the American Nightmare. I just felt they hit that so well. Their match was really good. It started out a little bit slow, but they were feeling each other out, and then they settled into a nice match there. And I thought Becky and Bianca burned it down. I thought that was one of the best matches that I've seen in a long time. Just
Yeah.
Becky was amazing, like, and it's hard to when you're watching a match, especially with two people who are good, because they both are good. It's hard to tell who's driving it, and Becky just drove a perfect match in that because she was leading most of it, and she was just amazing, and Bianca was too. And they had a couple missed spots, but I just thought that the way they told the story in that match was just really good. They started off with Becky trying to go for the immediate manhandle slam pinfall real quick, and then just throughout the whole match, the psychology was so great.
And I love the story it told, like how they tried to like with the quick finishers in the beginning, trying to get those. Basically going back to SummerSlam, whenever she came back and like she was supposed to face, who was it? Was it Carmella, I think? And then Becky came out and then beat her in, what was it, 28 seconds or something like that, which is crazy to think. And then I want to say that Bianca got a quick victory over her at a live event not too long ago as well. So like I enjoyed the fact that they both went after their finishers right away just to set up, feel themselves out, and then ended up having, in my eyes, as close as you can get to a 5-star match. So I
Yeah,
really enjoyed that.
yeah, I thought that they were outstanding, and it's a shame they got put in the spot being like the third match of the night because it's kind of a weird spot in the card. But then again,
Yep.
they didn't have to follow the Cody Rhodes stuff or be right before the Stone Cold Steve Austin stuff, so they were kind of in a spot where they got to shine because they weren't surrounded by that much stuff. Big, they were the first real big thing to happen of the night. Although I thought the other matches that happened, I thought everything kind of over delivered. Everything, like McIntyre and Corbin, everybody thought that was going to suck. I thought that was pretty good for what it
Oh,
was. You
I
know,
enjoyed that. The fact that everyone knew the whole Baron Corbin, no one's ever kicked out of, oh, Happy Corbin now, I guess. No one's ever kicked out of the end of days. And, I was one of the ones when I was watching it, I was kind of like pissed off myself that like Drew McIntyre kicked out of it. Cause like I enjoyed the fact that, his finisher was so protected. And like, you don't really see that a lot, like nowadays with these finishers. Like, for instance, you see, with Roman Reigns matches and spear, Superman punch, and people kick out, and it's like, wow, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the fact that his finisher was so protected, and it was in my opinion, it was really, it's a nice finisher. I like the way it looks. I like how we. It's the coordination between that finisher is really awesome, and I enjoyed that it was protected like that. Now, does it make sense for a guy like Drew to kick out of it? I can see that, like in my eyes, that's Corbin's best like part or opponent he's had at Mania,
Yeah.
and probably the biggest match at Mania he's had ever. I know he won the Battle Royal a couple years ago. I know that, but besides that, this is a big moment for him. It's a big step up for him. Everyone's like, "Oh, on Drew, it's a downfall for him." But look at the other side. He's building up Happy Corbin to be a big star, so he can be, next to him maybe one day with that star power.
Yeah, and Corbin's even said in interviews like before WrestleMania, you know, would you, by the end of your career, if you can say that you've been a world champion or you can say nobody's ever kicked out of that move, what would you rather have? And he actually has
Mhm.
said, I'd rather people never have kicked out of End of Days. And
I've seen the same interview.
yeah, and it happened. And I guess McIntyre of all people's, you pick everybody on the roster right now, he's one of the people that I think would deserve to do that. But
And make it believable too.
yeah, but and especially given the that match started out, with them throwing punches at each other, and it was a good match. I knew because I know McIntyre's a hell of a worker. He used to be champion, and I know Corbin can work. They just put him in a shitty gimmick, you know.
Yep.
And
But whatever gimmick he has, I feel like he'll take it and he'll do whatever he needs to get done to get that like image across, like what they're trying to present. He does it for like the product and for the company. So I can appreciate someone that goes all in with their gimmick.
yeah, that's how I feel too. He takes it, he runs with it, and it's working because we saw what happened on SmackDown eventually this week. So
Yep.
he basically made a baby face in Madcap with that eventual turn that we saw this week. The fans were eating that up. But
Yeah, they were red hot for with the whole the madcap cheers, and man, that place sounded loud. I'll leave it at that for now.
yeah, they were into it. Um, so yeah, that night it opened with the Boogs and Nakamura match against the Usos. Usos ended up retaining their belts. Boogs tore his knee in the match. What do you think of that
Yeah.
match?
I was really enjoying the match like in the beginning and getting into it until that moment happened, and as soon as it went down, I knew it was something happened. And it's unfortunate because now we don't know if they were gonna keep the titles on the Usos or go give it to someone like Nakamura and Boogs, who Boogs is extremely over right now, and part of the reason like behind I think he's super over too. I think that McAfee has a big like thing to do with that, with the whole entrance he gets on the desk and he gets everyone going. So like I feel like it all corresponds with each other. But yeah, like I said, like we don't really know if how the match was supposed to go. Most likely the Usos would have retained, but I think they would have had another 5 to 8 minutes in that match. So
Yeah, I've heard definitely that there was supposed to be about another 10 minutes. There was, Boogs was going to show off a lot of strength there. He's going to throw them both out of the ring together and do a whole, all the Boogs stuff that we've seen. And then I've seen a couple people report that Nakamura and Boogs were going over, and then I saw a couple people report that the Usos were always going over anyway. But it was clearly, when it happened, you could tell they kept the camera off of Boogs. The Usos got right out of the ring, and then you could see Nakamura and Jimmy talking to each other, and then you could actually see the referee who's on the earpiece with whoever's producing the match backstage. Guy backstage is telling the referee to tell them what to do.
yeah,
And you're seeing the referee go over to Jay and say, "Look, you're going to get a tag in a second," and he's telling him, "Guys, make this tag, do the one." Like you saw the referee make a hand gesture upwards,
yeah,
and that was basically telling him to hit the 1D and finish it.
1D and get the match over. Yep.
Yeah, and the thing about that referee guiding people through the match thing, it's something I read after this, is that Logan Paul forgot what he was supposed to do, and that Adam Pearce had to relay to the referee everything Logan Paul had to do.
Really.
Yeah, and so that shit happens more than just the referee communicating, I think, with the wrestlers happens, I think, all the time. Every time they get real close to them and it looks like they're checking on them, they're really telling them something from backstage.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I think.
Now, speaking of the Logan Paul, like speaking of him,
Yeah.
what did you think of that match? Because
I went into it thinking that was going to be my take a break from go to the bathroom. I thought it was awesome, man. I thought Logan Paul, he looked like he had been a 10-year veteran in the wrestling business as a heel. His timing, when he hit those three amigos and he hit the first suplex and then he stalled for a minute and then he swung his hip and swung the leg over, he looked like such an asshole. And everyone was like booing and stuff. He was so great as a heel in that. And then he goes up top for the Guerrero frog splash. And then part of what he was trying to do was have Miz turn on him so he could leave WrestleMania as a babyface. Because I think that was part of like his deal. And I think he's going to have some ongoing stuff here to sort of have WWE turn him as a babyface so that the general public views him in a different way.
Yeah.
So the Miz hits him with the skull-crushing finale, and the fans cheer for Miz. That's how much they hate Logan Paul.
Yeah, I thought that was great though. You know, personally, like, you know, I don't mind Logan Paul. You know, I've seen everything he's done in boxing and stuff like that. And the guy, he's a pure athlete. Like, you know, the man went. People might say it was fixed, whatever, this and that with Mayweather, but he still went all rounds with Mayweather, and it takes some balls to do that. You know, one of the best boxers of all time. You're stepping in the ring with him.
Well, he's putting himself out there. You know what I mean? You got to respect them for putting themselves out there on all these different platforms. On the YouTube shit that he does with the boxing people and doing this WrestleMania shit. He's not a wrestler. You know what I mean? And he's coming in here against Rey Mysterio with The Miz. You know, Rey Mysterio is one of the biggest baby faces of all time in front of however many people were in
decorated superstars.
Right, and he's acting like a total douchebag and doing it well. You know what I mean? Just in his
personally
in his heel persona, I'm saying. Like
he
came off so perfectly as someone that was trying to piss everybody off. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want him to be a babyface either. Like, I think that like with it in the heel gimmick, he would kill it. You know, like he just has that persona. Like, he comes out with the card on his neck. Like, if that doesn't say arrogance, like you paid $6 million almost for that Pokemon card, and you're going to wear it around your neck. You know, like, but I think he overperformed. Honestly, like everyone says, oh, Bad Bunny last year. That, like, yes, Bad Bunny, he definitely overperformed last year. But I think Logan Paul did just a step under him, and like. For someone that's not doing this on a daily basis like everybody else, yeah, he could have sold, you know, he took a few finishers. He could have sold them a little better. But besides that, I think that he put on a great match for the little time that he had to prepare for it.
Yeah, I was entertained by it. I thought it definitely exceeded my expectations, just like Drew and Corbin did. And, you know, I thought his heel work was really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of it. I don't know what the hell they're planning on doing, but yeah, the Usos match that was good for what it was, but it was a shame that it had to end the way it did. And then you had McIntyre, Corbin did a good job. These guys did a good job. We had Becky and Belair. We basically talked about that one. That was our match of the night. Cody, Seth.
Great match.
Great match. Yeah, you got anything to say about that one?
I love the spots in it. Like, I'm not too crazy about like the spots like that I see like a lot of the times, you know, in the other promotion, but I enjoyed like the spots they had in this match, and I enjoyed, you know, the fact that Rollins was able to put him over and still come out looking great. You know, like the match that they put on, like I could rewatch that match 100 times and just pick it apart of the things that I really enjoyed, because there's not many things that I disliked about it. So I enjoyed the entrance too, like you said, with the whole entrance of him coming out. Like, I got goosebumps, like when you heard his voice over the before his entrance music plays, and it was great. I loved it, and I'm not even a huge Cody fan, but you know, after seeing that, you know, I'm gonna be keeping my eyes open a little bit more now on him.
That's what I mean. That's what I meant. I'm not even that big of a Cody's fan either. But no matter who came out of that elevator, the way they did that just made it feel special, and it made that person feel big. And then by the end of that match, I was a Cody fan. They started out a little slow, but I thought that for two guys who hadn't been wrestling together, he was great, and I thought it was like you were saying, a good WWE match. They did, it all made sense. It was a really well worked match.
Yeah. And like you said, coming out like on top after being like you said, making you a Cody fan. I can't lie. When I went to Monday Night Raw on that Monday, I ended up buying a Cody shirt. So he must have changed my mind a little bit there. So
Yeah. Well, he's done a good job so far. You know what I mean? He had a good promo
I
on
hope
Raw.
they get a good. I hope he continues with the push. I hope they give him like that push that they're making him seem like a top star. And if you, I don't know if you've seen the new Monday Night Raw banner, but he's like right there, front center of the banner, right next to Seth Rollins in it. So they must be having these high hopes for him. And honestly, I appreciate them if they do that for him because he deserves it.
I think he will. I think that's part of why he's there. And I think he's going to be messing with Seth for a while, but I think that's going to end up crossing over into some kind of title because this combined title shit's not going to last for that long.
Yeah,
They're going to
personally, I'm not a fan of it either, but we can get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. So, other than that, on night one, we also
What?
had Rousey and Flair. Did you like that one?
Um,
That was probably my least favorite of the night.
I I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah,
And I keep that mindset as in she's not a wrestler, like she coming from doing actual fighting, like into going into like WWE, it's a big like step. It's a big step, in a different direction. So Charlotte Flair, she's a worker, and she's one of the best, if not the best. And overall, I think it was a decent match. Like I have no complaints about it. The finish, I like the finish, so how it sets up for the next match that we all know now is going to happen at WrestleMania Backlash. But overall, it was decent. Like no complaints really.
yeah. For me, in the moment, I was kind of like, "This is a little sloppy," and why the hell is Flair winning this one? And that's a fucked up finish. But
Yeah.
then, when I take a step back, you got an MMA background person versus someone who thinks they're a world class wrestler. It should look like kind of a vicious fight, especially the way that they were kind of, and not that Rousey's promos have been awful, and they
Oh
haven't
yeah. She
given,
she can't talk.
yeah, they haven't helped the heat at all. But they're supposed to be presenting this as somebody who wants to rip somebody's arm off versus somebody who, whatever Charlotte's trying to portray herself
Who
as.
just thinks that she's better than
Yeah, that
everyone?
just thinks she's better than everybody. So it should look like kind of a sloppy fight, and then having it end that way, where you have Rousey actually winning twice, but not for real because,
Making
the
her
ref,
tap out and ref was down and stuff.
yeah, having the leg on the rope and then Charlotte basically spearing the ref into the corner. And I saw that coming too, man, because they kept kicking out. She kept kicking it away from the figure four, and every time it happened, like the referee was like pretty close to where she got pushed, and then the one time he was just she didn't kick her. It looked like she was gonna kick her away, but he wasn't there, and then
Hmm.
he took another step, and then she blasted him into her, and I was like, man. That was kind of obvious, but then and so I kind of didn't like the finish that night. But then now seeing where they're going with it, it all makes sense, and that's why I kind of always say try to be patient with stuff and let stuff play out. A lot of people get up.
Yeah.
A lot of people have this
Can't
knee-jerk reaction to everything.
yeah, can't get all upset about it right away because they know what they're doing because they always have the plans in the long run. So they're always thinking two steps ahead of the regular fan. So
Yeah, exactly. They got more shit figured out than anybody who's talking about it. But other than that, on night one, the next thing we had was the KO show with Austin. So how'd that do for you? Did you like that?
I enjoyed it. And like I said, me going back and rewatching the Attitude Era and stuff on the network, which is now Peacock or whatever. I liked it. I think the fact that like they didn't say it was going to be a match, but I'm pretty sure everyone knew like what it was going to end up being in, like what it ended up turning into, which was eventually a match between the two. And I think Stone Cold, he did solid, for a guy that hasn't wrestled in 20 years. Like like what was it? The suplex he took on the concrete, that looked vicious, especially for a guy of his age doing this. So, what
Yeah,
did you think of it?
I liked it. I think they went just about the right amount of. I could have done with a little bit less of the beer drinking because I think it just got excessive and a little bit like cartoonish throughout the thing. But like that's me nitpicking it.
Yeah,
Like I, given the fact that they didn't advertise it as a match, and they sort of waited to see what they could do, and then it was more of a surprise, and then it turned it out to be a brawl, and they went backstage and did or not backstage, but out into the crowd, and then almost backstage when they did the ATV up the ramp, and Stone Cold took a stunner and took a suplex. I thought that the fact that KO got some offense in, and that Austin let him do that was great. But I think overall, just seeing how the reaction that got out of the fans, and knowing seeing on social media and hearing from other people how much they enjoyed it and how much it meant to like everybody who's a fan of WWE and wrestling in general, and just how big of a deal Stone Cold is. Like, even if I hated him, I thought the whole thing was great, and like just
it's basically hard not to enjoy it
yeah, there's nothing
under
I
the
can say.
circumstances.
Yeah, there's nothing I can say bad about it, and I thought it was done very well. They could have easily overdone that, and they didn't, you know. So I thought it was good. Um, and it was, again, they brought him back out the second night. So if anybody didn't go to night one and only went to night two, they got to see him again the next night. So we'll
Yeah.
we'll roll right on to the next night. Opening match was the triple threat for the Raw Tag Team titles: RK Bro, Street Profits, and Alpha Academy. Pretty good match. Probably not as great as the triple threat we saw on Raw about a month or so ago, but I feel like they were probably. I felt like everything on this night was a little bit pressed for time and was a little bit shorter than it should have been, except for maybe the Edge match, which seemed long as hell. But
Yeah.
the this match, they got a lot of spots in there. They got the epic RKO and by Riddle and Orton. What do you think about it?
Now this match, for me, I liked it just because of the fact like who was working the match. You have Randy Orton in there, who's a veteran, one of the best of all time, and then Riddle, a hell of an athlete, and then the Street Profits and the Alpha Academy, which they're both teams that are great workers as well. And like you said, the RKO spots, man, with Riddle coming off the ropes, that was just that was great. I loved it.
Let me ask you
And
something. Since you were
yeah,
there, did you? Because I was watching it back on TV, and I noticed that right before that, Riddle got thrown out on the ground out front by Otis, and then while something was going on in the ring, Riddle crawled on his knees all the way around to the back of the ring, and all you could see was like his hair sticking up, like from the hard camera on TV. Could you see what he did, or did he just come out of nowhere, like from your perspective in the stadium?
well, in fact, like the funny thing is that I thought that they were gonna end up losing because Orton and Riddle were outside of the ring for a good 2 to 3 minutes, and like I could see them, just talking to each other, like basically setting up for like, look, you need to get around to the other side type thing, so you can hit your RKO, I'm gonna hit my RKO. So I'm pretty sure like when they were on that right, well, from my view, it was on the right side of the ring, where Orton and Riddle were talking, and then like you said, I seen Riddle go over to the other side and then eventually jump up and hit the RKO. So maybe they were just waiting and stalling to see, like, wait for them spots to like open up in the match. So I think that's like what it was because nothing else really happened besides that.
Yeah, they did the spot where they got everybody out in the back corner, and then Montez Ford looked like he was going for a stinger splash and just flew over the corner on everybody.
Yeah.
And then they had Gable go up top and hit a moonsault on the same group. But other than that, they really didn't do. I thought we were going to see like a Tower of Doom spot and maybe a little bit more. I feel like it just felt like everything they did, it looked like everybody was doing it way faster than they normally would. Like when Orton was back suplexing people on the announce table, it looked like he couldn't do it fast enough. And even the spot I was just talking about when Montez Ford flew over the corner, it was like, he was like, okay, Gable's where he needs, everybody's back there, here we go. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, it didn't seem methodical at all. Not that that's going to be a methodical type of match, but I've seen this same match at house shows, and like we saw a similar match, but instead of Street Profits, it was Owens and Rollins, and
Hmm.
they did so much more in those matches. And this match wasn't bad. I liked it. I just was expecting a little bit.
More.
Yeah, a little bit more. They still had some
Eh,
nice. They went the double draping DDTs, and they teased they were going to get the RKO's, but the Alpha Academy pulled them out. I think that was when it probably looked like they were going to lose because they were both on that side there for a while. But
Yeah, they were on that side for a little bit, and that's what made me think like second guess myself because I had RK Bro like retaining on my predictions. So when that happened, I was a little confused because I was just like, wow, like are they gonna pull the titles off of them like and then maybe have a turn like right after? Like I was like, what's gonna go on? Like what's going on right now? But eventually they ended up winning. I think the right team did win, especially now that we know what the whole Usos versus RK Bro, if that's been made official yet, I'm not sure. But with the unification of the tag titles, I feel like that keeping them on RK Bro against the Usos will be the biggest match that you can get out of the three teams, you know?
yeah, I think definitely the right team won. I think they're still ridiculously over with everybody. That had to have been a huge. The stadium had to get pretty loud when they came out. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it pops when they came out, and mostly the Randy Orton's music is just
Yeah,
as
it's
soon as you hear the
great.
I hear voices, it's just one of them things that you just have to cheer for, you know.
Yeah,
So
but yeah, people just. I've been to Raw and stuff like that, and house shows. People love RK Brother. It's too. They're too over for them to beat them right now. They have
and
to.
there's still more life that they can get out of that group before they do end up, having them feud with one another.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need to. They don't need to split them up now. And there's, like you said, they got other things in the works right now. So, but after that, I'm not even sure what was the second match on this show.
Um, let's think.
Well, let's just skip forward to the women's four-way tag match.
I'm trying to think. I can't even think myself. And I was there, and I can't even think myself. Also had a few. I had a few drinks in me though too. So, um, yeah. If you want, we can jump straight to the women's tag match.
Yeah, Naomi and Sasha won them here. I think we all kind of saw that coming. I don't know if you.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
was happy that they won, just for the main sole purpose of Sasha never winning at Mania. I think she was 0-7 at Mania, so getting her first win. Yeah, it's for the women's tag titles, but for her, that's a step in the right direction. I feel like. Hopefully, they continue building off this with storylines and making it like women's tag division relevant. Because for a lot of the year, like a lot of the months out of the year, I should say, you didn't really hear from it. They're not getting defending on pay per views. No team for the Zelina and Carmella to even feud with. So I think the right team won. It was a good match. Um, I think that it was a little sloppy here and there, but there was also 8 people working the match. So, but overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the match, and I'm happy that Sasha and Naomi won. So
Yeah, I wanted to see Sasha win this one. Get her. I think part of this was they wanted to get a WrestleMania moment. You get 8 women out there to kind of get all on WrestleMania, do what they can. Only one of them has to be pinned. now you got Sasha and Naomi as the tag champs. Hopefully they can elevate the division a little bit. I agree with you. The match was a little bit sloppy, but I guess that's what you get when you have 8 women in there with a limited amount of time. Overall, it was okay, but probably not, in the middle as far as the matches of the night. The next one after the start was Lashley and Omos. But before we get into that, how was the entrance for the entrance for Naomi and Sasha? Looked pretty cool. How was that like in person?
Yeah, it was nice. Her coming out in the what was it? A Lambo, I think. Was it?
Lamborghini.
It wasn't Lambo. I think it was a Lamborghini. Yeah. Yeah, it was cool seeing that. Personally, myself though, I wanted Rhea and Liv to win. I'm big on Liv Morgan, but like you said though, it was a solid match for like what it was. But yeah, the entrance was cool as well though.
Yeah, I felt like they gave them a pretty big entrance, and I figured when I saw that there was no way they were losing.
Yeah. Sometimes you can just see them giving little hints here and there. So
Yeah, and I also feel like when I'm looking at night 1, night 2, there are really a lot of WrestleManias that I've seen and just shit that I've heard. Like Vince doesn't like to overload the WrestleMania with a bunch of title changes because he wants the title change to mean something. So like Rousey didn't win it here because night 1 was Belair's crowning moment. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
it would have been overshadowed if Rousey won too. And then night 2, I think it was all about getting Sasha the crowning moment. Obviously, Reigns getting both belts so they can get the other one off Brock. And then entertaining people because there was a lot of entertainment in this show. But before we get to that, we had Lashley defeating Omos. Eventually gets a suplex on him. The match really wasn't much. Lashley almost got killed by Omos in this match. But how did you feel about this match? Did Lashley get a good reaction? How did you feel about Omos? How the stadium, how the fans react to this?
it wasn't like an uproar for either of them when either of them came out. There was a good amount of cheers though for Lashley. He got his praise, and Omos, you got the boos and stuff like that. But I feel like most people boo Omos just because of the fact that he's not a good worker, and it's like I understand he's that big and he's very limited in the ring, but you got to. It's frustrating seeing guys like Braun Strowman and stuff like that get released, which could outperform Omos any day of the week. And that's how I look at things. And I'm looking at it as like, I understand Vince wants him to be the next giant in the company, and yeah, but I just he doesn't really do it for me, and he can't talk, and thank God he has MVP with him now, but he can't talk. He's not really good in the ring. He can't take a bump. So seeing like Lashley actually like have him on the ground and be able to like pin him, get the 1, 2, 3, it was for me. I enjoyed it just because the fact I wanted to see him get taken down. I wanted to see him lose.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, hopefully that's how the rest of the fans felt. You know what I mean? It was nice to see him hit that suplex on him. I think and I agree with everything you said about Omos. I think he's dangerous. I think that there's other big guys that have been better for them that they could have kept. I don't know what the hell they're doing with him, why they've been wasting their time with him. I can only pray to God that Bobby Lashley can bring something out of him in working matches with him. Maybe he can get him to do more than 2 things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get him to know how to not kill people. Because, like, there was one time he had Lashley in a bear hug, and he took him over to the turnbuckle and threw him in there. But he's so fucking tall that he's throwing Lashley down. And Lashley hit the back of his head on the post. And I swear to God, I thought he killed him. But anyway, Lashley goes over here. And like you say, when MVP goes to congratulate him on Raw, MVP ends up turning on him and joining Omos. So Omos now has a mouthpiece. Who knows? Maybe it'll go somewhere. But at least, on one hand, we're tying up a top guy in Lashley. on somebody like Omos when he could be doing something more important. But on the other hand, maybe it'll spark some sort of development in Omos. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Maybe.
looking on the bright side.
Yeah. Maybe working with Lashley. Like can give him like a few pointers in the ring, and set up different spots he's able to accomplish. Because there's not much that he can do, but you never know. And then
Yeah,
Lashley,
he's
he's
so
been in the
big,
company for years, so
and he's just
he's
so
a
big and
well-established
strong.
veteran.
He can help. He can probably help him work better than somebody else that is just very slight compared to him. Even
And
Lashley.
like you said with
Go ahead.
the whole like how you said Lashley being like forced to work with Omos or whatever. We just had Drew have this long feud with Corbin for that long, and many people thought he shouldn't be stooping that low to feud with someone like that, like a big caliber name like Drew McIntyre. But I think like right now it's going to be like the same thing with Bobby Lashley. We're going to have a feud for a decent amount of time. I feel like maybe this could even go all the way to SummerSlam. I hope not. Like I really hope not. But for now, with Roman having both titles, who else are we going to have Lashley with? So I guess right now this is what they have. This is what they presented him with, and this is what he's going to have to just do for now until another opportunity opens up.
Yeah, just hopefully it we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully it ends up positively. You know what I mean? Like it's just like you said that the Corbin and McIntyre stuff was kind of stupid and culminated in a decent match, and now the Corbin stuff ended up with Madcap Moss turning on him, and at least it looking pretty good. I actually that was the one happy talk segment ever that I actually enjoyed. So.
I agree with you.
So we got Zayn against Knoxville in the Anything Goes match. How was that in person?
Oh, it was good. Like having the whole like not the whole, but a majority of the Jackass crew out there, and I've watched many of the films, including the new one, and it was a spot fest match, and I love Sami Zayn that he's able to do this and put someone like that over, and just the bumps that he took, man. The off the top rope getting pushed over, doing I think he did a front flip onto the table with the mouse traps on it. Like, man, that looked like it stung, So, unfortunately, he lost. Sami Zayn lost, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people expected. You bring in a guy in like Johnny Knoxville, and you knew that he was going to go over Sami Zayn. But I love the spot with Wee Man. I love the, what are we gonna call that? A body slam or
Yeah, I would call it a body slam
a body
or a
slam,
power slam or something,
a little power slam. Or something.
assisted
The way,
by the person he was giving it to.
yeah, because I know you've seen Sami Zayn. He like protecting his neck, quickly curl his neck in so he wouldn't end up hurting himself or whatever. But the finish was a little wonky because it's like, come on, you can't get out of that. But at the end of the day, it was a comedy match, so I appreciate Sami Zayn for doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sami Zayn acted out. I felt like Sami Zayn did his job in that match very well. He acted out the little gimmick things they did to him perfectly. His timing with it was great. He sold them like they really were devastating to him. So I thought he was really good in that match. Now, the crowd seemed to be really into this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were pretty into it down there.
Yeah, they were into it. They were into it for sure. And I just think they all wanted to see Sami Zayn get his ass kicked, and it was just a funny moment, and it was just that comedy relief, the entertainment part of WWE that not the average hardcore wrestling fan loves, but the little kids love it, and that's what they were there for, really, So,
How loud did it get when Wee Man came out of the ring?
oh man, it was awesome. it was pretty loud, like everyone. I kind of, it's funny. I looked at my buddy and I said, watch, man, it's gonna be like a hornswoggle moment, and Wee Man's gonna pop up from under the ring, and it ended up happening. So we both just kind of looked at each other and laughed, and it was great. Like I can't be mad at it because I knew what it was. I knew what the match was, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was good entertainment. Sometimes if the hardcore stuff is just nonsensical and stupid, I get a little annoyed by it. But I thought Sami Zayn played the part very well, and if the crowd's in a fever pitch like that, it's hard to sit there and be the one saying that it's not fun, you know. So it was a good fun time, and it was what it was, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So we got
it was
Ed.
enjoyable.
Yeah, it was good enjoyment, good entertainment. Um, you know, it's not like Belair and Lynch, not that type of match, but it was good. I thought Edge and AJ Styles next underdelivered, in my opinion. I liked the match overall because it was okay. I thought the ending was a little bit weak, the way Styles just saw Priest, and then that caused him to get hit by a spear out of nowhere. The other thing about this night we had like Edge's match end on a spear, Reigns' match end on a spear, Bobby Lashley's match end on a spear. We had Charlotte Flair spear the referee and end that match.
Yeah, spear heavy night.
Yeah, but anyway, what do you think about the match overall? Like I say, I thought it was okay. I just feel like it was a little bit slow to develop. And
Yeah.
it didn't feel like an AJ Styles match. It felt like an Edge match.
See, and I agree with you. I personally, I did not like the finish at all. I was pretty pissed off with like how Damian Priest just shows up, and you have Styles, one of the best, if not the best, indie wrestler of all time, and you know
He's
he's
distracted by
that's
a
what
person.
and it pissed me off that's how they ended it, off of a distraction, you know. And it's like I was so excited for this match because I've been dreaming, like this was on my bucket list of Edge dream matches whenever he first came back at Rumble, 2020. I was so excited and like, oh my God, we're finally gonna get AJ Styles Edge, like they're gonna tear it down. And I was just I was into the match until that happened, and then it kind of just it put me in a bad mood after that because I was like, damn, like I was looking forward to this match the most, and to have a finish like that just really irritated me.
Yeah, like I tried to keep it. The match is going on, and they're starting off with the typical, elbow and collar tie-ups over and over again. Test the strengths. Then each of them's trading, hitting a move while they both sell for like a minute and a half after every move. So it was very slow to start.
Mm-hmm.
Then they pick up a little bit, but it just didn't feel like AJ Styles ever was fighting his style. It felt like it was Edge fighting his style, which is typical. Usually the heel style is what controls the match, but generally speaking, with two people like this, you have a mix. You know what I'm saying? It just felt like there wasn't enough nonstop action. It picked up, and then Damian Priest shows up. Now, everybody going into this match thought this was going to be the match of the weekend, and I don't think.
As did I.
Yeah, so you thought that, I thought that. I'm sure most of the fans who know anything thought that. What was the crowd like during this match? Were they cold? Were they hot? Were they into it? Were they kind of like bored?
I wouldn't say bored. Fans were into it. There were, you had your AJ Styles like chants, and you also had your Edge chants. So it was like people were into it for sure. But I'm pretty sure, like myself, like a lot of people were pissed off with the finish, and like that's like really like what the main thing that I even remember about the match. Like just coming to think of it is just the finish, because I can't finishes like that just don't do it for me, especially when you have a guy like AJ Styles who, like I said, one of the best workers that the company has, and to have him get distracted like that is it's just not cutting it for me.
Yeah, it's like a finish you would see on Monday Night Raw or something like that. It's not a. The other thing I was going to ask you, did you notice Damian Priest was down there? Where the hell did he come from?
I See, I was so focused on the match. I want to say he came from like maybe the crowd or
Yeah,
maybe behind.
He probably came from like behind the announcers or some shit.
Yeah, something like that. Because all of a sudden, I remember I looked up and I seen him, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's Damian Priest."
I wonder if they brought him out there like when they had the lights down for Edge's entrance. If he came out during then and sort of hid somewhere. I don't know.
Because I didn't see him until he came, like until he was like right there, and he distracted Styles. I didn't see him until then.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I tried to keep an open mind going into the match. I felt like at the end of the day, I hated the finish, and therefore, the efforts they made to make the match good didn't necessarily resonate with me because, like I say, I could have dealt with the slower pace of the match if there was a good finish. But because it was such a slow match, the finish made it forgettable.
And I don't even think Styles even hit. Did Styles even hit a finisher on him? Even
He hit a
like a
Styles
phenomenal.
clash.
He hit a Styles clash, but I was gonna say I don't think he hit a phenomenal forearm on him though.
Nah, he went for a springboard moonsault and missed it or got blocked by Edge's knees, and then he hit a
Yeah, I remember
springboard.
that spot. That spot was good. That spot looked like it hurt.
Yeah. Then he hit a springboard moonsault on the Edge's back. I don't know if Edge was supposed to be laying on his stomach there. And then he went for the forearm, and that's when he got distracted. Enough for it to be a spear. Like, I don't understand why 2 seconds is enough for him to not hit the forearm and to get speared.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We can move on from that.
Like I would have much rather just Edge jumping out of the way of the forearm, bouncing off the ropes and hitting the spear like that, and just finish the match like that.
Yeah. But
But with a distraction, it's just we can move off because I can get mad about this for God knows how long.
like, I have no problem with Edge going over. I picked Edge to go over. I knew he would go over because they're trying to solidify his character and his faction and all that shit. But I think the ending sucked, and I think the match was overhyped and not worked in the way in which a lot of people expected it to be.
Hopefully that they with Edge starting the faction and stuff that AJ Styles gets a little backup though.
Yeah, that's
That's what I'm hoping.
one of the things I'm
Maybe a Finn
wondering.
Balor.
Yeah, what the hell is gonna if Edge is gonna start this heel faction and run roughshod on Raw, who's backing up the baby faces? And that was one of the things I was wondering myself. Are we gonna get a babyface faction or what's happening here? So, yeah, I would like to see if they had like a tag match with Priest and Edge against Balor and Styles. That would be a good tag match. You know
Yeah,
what I
that
mean?
would be a good tag match. I agree. Yeah.
But next up we had Sheamus and Holland defeating the New Day in like 2 minutes.
I'm not gonna lie. I,
I
I
don't.
went to the bathroom. I came back and the match was over.
Yeah, I don't understand what the point of this was. We're not even going to talk about it.
I think they only put it on here because it was supposed to be on night one, and maybe this is why everything else got a little rushed on night two.
That's what
Was the
I
fact that
thought.
they squeezed this match in, and with the entrances, I'm not gonna lie. Let's be honest here. We know why they did it. The New Day is so. They love the New Day. The crowd loves the New. Personally,
I hate them.
I'm iffy on them.
I think they're annoying. I think most people I talk to think they're annoying, but kids love them for some reason. They were
Yep.
supposed to be in that match on night one. They got bumped. Sheamus got pissed off about it. He was already pissed off that they only gave him 10 minutes with entrances. They gave him less time on this night. They should have just put on the pre-show, and it would have given. I mean, imagine you give a little bit more time of this match to every other match. Take a little bit off of that Edge and AJ Styles match because it was a little long, and give it to everybody else. Then your RK Bro match is a little bit better. Then your, I mean, I think they got plenty of time out of the Zayn match, but then maybe Omos and Lashley aren't out there rushing everything and killing each other.
Or even the women's tag match because
Yeah, that was rushed. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So.
So yeah,
But yeah, like.
I think they put over the Sheamus team. I think just to make them look strong here, but I don't understand. There's no reason to have this on WrestleMania when there's other things they left off. you know?
Especially the fact that they didn't have either mid-card titles defended, but you're putting a match like this on there, which, like I said, I know the reason behind it. They want the New Day to go out there. They want the chance. They want, New Day Rock, like the New Day Rocks and everything else. Like, but my thing is, if you're gonna do that, and you're not even gonna put the New Day over, so it's like you're gonna like the little kids are gonna be upset about that for one, and it's like, and in booking decision, I think the right team won. I agree with that. You want them to start looking like an actual, good faction and like a good heel faction to have on Friday Night SmackDown. And I know the match is supposed to be a 6-man tag with Big E, but unfortunately, the broken neck injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was just confused on with Big E getting hurt. Like the match could have just got cut, and I would have been fine with it not even being on the card and getting an Intercontinental Championship match or United States Championship match on the card.
Yeah, it just should have been cut, especially given the time constraints. I mean, they went long with a lot of shit. The next thing we're going to talk about went really long, and that was the Mcafee and Theory match, which ended up being Mcafee versus McMahon, which ended up being Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out again. So we'll start off with Mcafee and Theory. Mcafee came out to a big entrance, huge reaction. Man. Cowboys cheerleaders.
It was big.
Yeah, and music.
That's the only word. That's the only word I can use. When I'm telling as over can get, the crowd was so behind him. I couldn't even hear. The place was me even part of it with the man. Yeah. That was it was insane, and it was one of them things that. It was one of them things that just gave me chills, like just being a part of that and just hearing the whole arena erupt for Pat McAfee. And I'm a big fan of Pat McAfee. I enjoy his commentary. I feel like that's one of the things WWE has done right in the past few years is getting him on that commentary team, because he brings so much life and he makes Michael Cole sound so much better than, like, I'm not saying anything bad about Michael Cole. He's one of the longest tenured announcers that WWE has right now. But he just brings that spark and enjoyment that, like, we need in, like, wrestling right now. So I was really happy that, like, he ended up beating Austin Theory. But then after that, like you said, with the whole Vince McMahon, he looked terrible. And he should not have been putting himself in that situation to begin with. It pissed me off, and I know it pissed other people off too, because the segment was really long. He did not have to have a match with McAfee after that. You could have just had him come to the ring. They could have jumped him, or they could have just done something. He didn't have to be put in a match, and then you could have had Stone Cold come out and, like, rescue McAfee. But no, he put himself in the spotlight and had the match, and he could barely move in the match. It was just, I didn't like it.
That's exactly how I felt. I saw him tease taking the jacket off. I thought it was funny, and then I was like, all right, don't do it. And then he did it, and then it was just cringeworthy watching him run around the ring and McAfee basically run at him and fall over when he hit his arm, and then having Theory do this. Now, I will say this about all of it. Theory was really good at doing his heel stuff. Like, he was a complete...
When he pulled him between the pull between the turnbuckle.
Yeah, when he did that and even when he was just working alone with McAfee in that match, I thought it was good. You know what I mean?
When McAfee jumped back up straight onto the up onto the ropes, onto the turnbuckle, he just jumped straight back up. Man, the crowd went crazy. And
McAfee was really impressive. In Theory, was just the type of guy you wanted to boo. You wanted to see him get his ass kicked. You wanted to see him lose, and it's hard for people. Not hard, but like it's a skill and a talent to act that way. You know what I mean? And Theory did it really well. Same as we were talking about Logan Paul before. Like, Theory was just outstanding.
He's just an arrogant asshole, really, that you just want to boo, So
yeah,
and I like his work, and I like the fact that he is with Vince McMahon, and like kind of like how he's like pushing him and bringing him up, and like I have no complaints there. Like I'm a fan of Austin Theory's work, and I think he's great in the ring. Like that F5 he took from Lesnar at Chamber was beautiful, like it looked brutal, and I enjoy the guy's work, and I just didn't enjoy the fact that Vince McMahon booked himself in a match.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it was pretty stupid. It was a waste of time. I guess it was all to get to what was next. Austin coming out. First, Vince got scared when he heard Austin Theory's music play. But then,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what happened with the production crew. Because like before it happened, I remember like seeing Vince like look, but like it wasn't cued yet. So I don't know, like something happened with production or something.
yeah, it was pretty funny. But you could tell it when you were there that something was off at first.
Yeah, like I could tell that like I remember like me and my friend like we looked at each other like what the hell, and then all of a sudden 30 seconds later, that's when you heard the glass breaking, and it just went the place went nuts.
It was even crazier than during the Theory and McAfee match itself, wasn't it?
Yo, man, it was. I couldn't even hear myself think. The place erupted, man. It was just the roar from the crowd, man. It was great. It was so cool, like being able to like experience that and hearing like how much everyone just loves Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I know. That's kind of how well, like, so for you being someone that didn't start until 2007, even having seen Attitude Era stuff and appreciating Stone Cold Steve Austin, you weren't necessarily in person experiencing him in his heyday. So were you more super excited that it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, or just super excited to be a part of something that was that significant and such
A
a
mixture of
fever
both.
pitch for everybody?
A
Mixture of
mixture of both, because I know my grandpa was big on Stone Cold, so like it was one of them things that was like I just gotta like I had to just partake in it and just roar with everyone else there. Just go like me and my friend looked at each other, we're like, holy shit! Like like we were just like we were so ecstatic that like he would just come, and we knew the second he would be getting in that ring, we knew they were all gonna take a stunner from him. So it was great. I loved it. I love seeing the stunners, except for the one on Vince, because man, we could talk about that. That was the worst sold stunner of all time.
I
Maybe even than the one on his wife that he did years ago.
I just think he fucking his legs gave out on him and he didn't know what the hell he was and he couldn't actually hold himself up enough to take it right.
And then Stone Cold was trying to grab him, and he was just laughing. Like Stone Cold was literally just laughing because he knew that it was just funny. It was just
Yeah.
funny.
But
And
Theory had an epic sell of the stunner.
I was just about to say that next.
Yeah.
That man. Theory sold that shit.
Yeah, that was amazing. He popped up. That was almost as good as when The Rock used to sell it. And
Yeah, like the pop back over, and then he does like the flip over onto his other side, and then he fell out
yeah.
of the ring. It was just and then McAfee when he McAfee, I think he sold the stunner perfect too. How he the beer flew out of his mouth. He like spit it out as he was falling down to the ground. Oh, I loved it,
Yeah, that was hilarious. I thought the whole thing was great. Another segment
especially
that
with
was
him
super
drinking
entertaining.
the beer on the outside too. That was just
Yeah.
as he's laying on the ground, just pouring the beer all over.
Yeah, that was
That's
funny,
I
man.
love McAfee, man. He's over. He's great.
Yeah, it was great, man. That whole thing was outstanding. Aside from the Vince nonsense, I thought it was really good. It was great for if you thought that you were only getting Austin night one and he came out I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciated how they did that.
Yeah, so it was really good energy there. And that takes us to our main event, the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Ended up going about 11 or 12 minutes. Apparently, Reigns hurt his shoulder in this match. Not entirely sure how serious that is, how severe it is, or if it's even
Yeah.
real. Um, they traded a lot of finishers. Reigns hit the spear into the timekeeper's area. We've seen that spot a million times. Um, Reigns hits a spear, which bumps the ref so he can hit a low blow. He hits a spear that Brock turns into the Kimura lock. He's got that Kimura lock locked in tight, but Reigns ends up getting the ropes with an assistance from Heyman, and then Heyman says, "Rise up, my tribal chief. All you got to do is this, blah, blah, blah." Meanwhile, Reigns is telling Heyman his shoulder's out, and then right after that, they go right into an F5 attempt that Reigns slides out of, hits a spear, goes for the pin, 1, 2, 3, it's over.
Yeah.
Reigns is your unified
Um.
champion. Do you think that they went into a quicker finish than what they were intending, or do you think that they were like, hey, let's finish this one early to keep people guessing?
I think that the finish, think came a little bit early. Um, like you said, with Reigns being hurt or whatever, I could like physically see him like in pain trying to lift up that title at the end, and that's when I kind of like realized I was like I think he's actually hurt, you know, like because during the match you couldn't really tell, but like you could like from where like I was like you couldn't really tell like him being hurt because you know you couldn't see if he was selling or what was going on really, but after the match and like he's lifting up that title and like he's going slow with it, I'm like wow, like his shoulder like looks like he's in pain trying to lift his arm up. So then I knew something was wrong, and then it explained the whole finish. But the match was what I expected it to be. You know, from two heavy hitters. You know, a lot of finishers in it. This like you said, the spear through the barricades or the where the timekeepers and stuff. We've seen that 100 times. I've enjoyed previous Lesnar and Reigns matches way more than I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, definitely not their best match. I don't know how much more two guys like this could do before they're just going to kill each other in there. I mean, Jesus Christ, they're in there for 10 minutes, and apparently Lesnar broke his ribs, and Reigns fucked his shoulder up. So, and I'm just saying, I agree with you. There's other matches they've had that have been far better than this. I think that if you're going to build something as the biggest match of all time, um, and I've defended that they've called it that. Everybody's like, oh, they're calling it the best match. No, they're not calling it the best match. They're saying
They're
biggest
calling it the biggest.
because it
Yeah.
has the biggest implications. There's never been both these titles on the line, so that's fine. They want to call it that. That's fine, but I think it should last a little bit longer than 11 minutes. It shouldn't just be the same thing we've seen where it's Superman punch, Superman, German suplex, Suplex City, 8 in a row,
And then
Superman.
F5 and spear and then you
Yeah,
know it's like
let's kick out of our
and
finish. It's like you're playing 2K22 and you're
yep
loaded,
and
stocked with finishers, and you're just hitting them on each
unlimited
other.
finishers on.
And you have unlimited resiliency, so you're just kicking out everything. It's just, but at the end of the day, it's almost like when you have these two final bosses against each other, like if it was a video game or something, they're gonna kind of have to dig down to their top four moves to take down the big boss. So I kind of get it, but at the end of the day, for me, it's having two big guys in a match together doesn't make a good match. That's that you need like two different styles of guys. Like Reigns' best matches are with smaller guys. Like
Or like a guy like Seth Rollins, I feel like.
yeah, or even Rollins, somebody who has a different style than the big bruising, you know, guy like Brock Lesnar. Lesnar's best matches were with littler guys that he could handle and do crazy shit with, and
Like
also,
like that match with Styles a few years back. I remember that was I really
yeah,
enjoyed that
that
match.
match is one of the best matches I've seen in the last 10 years, and
Yeah, like I really enjoyed that match.
it's
That's
just
like the first thing I could think of off the top of the head about the last Brock Lesnar match I was
yeah,
truly invested in.
he had amazing matches with Guerrero, Mysterio, smaller guys, because then he can manipulate them and make
Yep,
their move set look even better.
yep.
You know what I'm saying? And his move set looks even more devastating, and he can do more of his move set, and they can do their. So I like it when there's two guys that are of different sort of styles, and that's why coming up with Reigns and Nakamura, it looks like we're gonna get, as much as I think it's a foregone conclusion Nakamura is not winning anything, at least it might end up being a good looking
A good
match.
match. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so anyway, Lesnar loses here. Now, are you a Lesnar fan, or how do you feel about Brock Lesnar overall?
Um, I've never been big on Brock Lesnar. I like him, you know, and I deal with him mostly for the fact that I don't enjoy the times where he does have the title and he's just not there. So
Kudos to you. Kudos.
I agree.
I I feel like he's been around like a lot more as of late though, you know, and like he has been on programming weekly since he's came back, and like I'm happy about that, but at the same time is I also got in the back of my mind that if he was to win, will we see the title for the next 2 months? So
Yeah.
I was happy that Roman won, and I had Roman winning, and I'm pretty sure everyone had Roman Reigns winning. just to establish him even more as the big dog, you know.
Yeah,
I hated that,
I
but
agree with all that stuff about Lesnar, all his history with, dipping out on the company. Not, I want my champion to be somebody that's at house shows, that's doing appearances, that's on TV every single week. And I know Lesnar's been on TV lately, but that was a temporary thing. He's not going to do what Reigns has been doing. Reigns has paid his dues for 10 years. He's got booed out of the building forever. You know, he's always wrestled at house shows. Always, even if he's not in a match at SmackDown, he's wrestling in the dark match.
yep.
I appreciate guys that are doing shit for the company, and I feel like, Roman's that guy. They're not gonna put away Roman's streak here. So I knew he was. I just didn't think he would lose. But moreover, regardless of Roman Reigns, my opinion of Brock Lesnar, like, I don't like him. I think he's a lazy work. I mean, it's changed over the years, but overall, like, as a fan, I feel like he's lazy for the company. That, like I said, doesn't do house shows, doesn't do the same amount of appearances. Probably does more nowadays than he used to, but he was a real asshole for a while. And, like, that's not who I would want as the champion of the
Of the
wrestling show
company.
that I
Yeah.
pay for, that I pay to
Hmm.
watch, or that I give my time to. So, is he a lazy person? No. Do I hope he heard anything I said? Absolutely not, because he could fucking rape me if I was in the room with him. But
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day,
Acknowledge me.
that's what I wanted to hear at the end of the night. You know, so going into Raw, we had a couple debuts, a couple things happen. We'll go through the highlights, man. It started out with the Cody Rhodes promo. How'd you feel about his promo there? It was pretty authentic. Seemed
Yeah,
like,
I enjoyed it. And as soon as his music hit, man, the whole place was going crazy. Before he even started the promo, you could just hear everyone just Cody, Cody, and he was getting all the praise in the world, and he deserves it. So the promo I really enjoyed. It was really authentic, like and they had the picture up on the thing of Dusty, and like how he was explaining the fact that he won the match but not the title, and that's why he's here because he could put the title around the waist of the American Nightmare, and I enjoyed that. Like I feel like that like set up like why he's there, and it set up the direction that the company sees him going.
yeah, I felt like it was perfectly, like, he set his intentions out there, put some emotion to it, made it believable. I thought it was really good. I thought his acting was really good here. That was probably that was one of the best segments of the whole week.
Yeah, and like how he had like the tears. You could see him getting a little teary eyed too. So like he's bringing out that emotion. And God, has he gotten better over the years with his promos, man? Like he's just a natural at it now. I feel like.
Yeah, he's great. I think that's one of his biggest strengths. That's one of the biggest things that makes somebody a top guy, is being able to capture the audience without actually getting physical with somebody else, because then you can do promos like that and build anticipation for a match that's settled at a pay-per-view, rather than doing all this physical shit in between. And like
And him just being believable too. Like it was
yeah,
very believable. Like it was authentic.
yeah, I thought it was really good. Um, the crowd seemed like they received it pretty well too.
Yeah, it was loud in there. It was loud, and he got a big pop too.
So, speaking of the crowd reacting to things, what did the crowd think of Ezekiel?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Before, like, I couldn't tell who it was. I was a little like what's going on type thing. So, and then eventually I'm looking. I'm like oh shit, that's Elias. And this segment with KO and KO counting you have to get out of my ring and this and that. And Kevin Owens gets out of the ring instead. It was a little confusing because like is that going to lead to a program now? Like what's going on there? So I don't. It was a little confusing, but yeah, the crowd was just like I want to say everyone was a little confused on who it was at first until they finally realized like oh shit, it is Elias.
Yeah, it was a little bit weird. I mean, I felt like what they were trying to do was Owens was basically reacting as if he was a fan and being like, "Who the hell are you? No, you're a lot." Like basically saying all the same shit a fan would say. And so I don't, I don't know how to explain this, but they're going somewhere. This is going down the comedy track. He's going to be a comedy character, this Ezekiel. I don't know what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean?
Like,
There's not enough even to talk about it because we've only seen him come out and basically say nothing.
yeah, and he just looks like a generic like
Wrestler that,
WWE
yeah,
2K.
you create a wrestler and just don't change anything, and that's your guy. You know, that's what you're gonna say, right?
Yeah, but like before you edit your person at all, like it just looks like the generic load up screen that you get, but right before you go into, would you like to change your name? Would you like to change your hair? You know, like,
Yeah, just the regular guy. They
and
don't
and he
change
does
his
not look
trunks.
good without that beard.
I know his face looked. It looked like they just shaved him. Like he would, you know what I mean? You know how you can kind of tell when somebody just shaved? It looked like he just got shaved. Like it just didn't look right. Some people need a beard on their face, and I think he's one of them. But
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
we also saw Veer come out after Dominic basically got beaten in 15 seconds.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Tries to hit a 619, doesn't. Then
Skull crushing finale. And
Miz skull crushing finale, match over. Veer comes out, beats the hell out of Ray and Dom, puts Dom in a crossface, won't let it go until the officials come out. What did everybody think of Veer? Did anybody even care?
There was a few people that cared, just because I seen a lot of I seen a few like Veer is here signs and stuff like that. Just because I think the fact that all the vignettes they've been doing and everything else, people just wanted to see him.
Yeah.
So I feel like he got a little reaction just because the fact that people were just ready for him to actually make an appearance. Enough with the whole vignettes every fucking week. Enough with all the bullshit. Just bring him out there already, you know? And having him go against, like next week we have him going against a guy like Rey Mysterio, and it's like really? You know, like, and he's going to go over. But it's like, personally, I can just tell already I'm not going to be a fan of him.
Yeah, they're trying to put him over as like this monster. I seen him at house shows and stuff like that, always wrestling against Dom. Always squashing the hell out of him, not selling anything. I don't think they're gonna get that far with this. Because first of all, they got him playing a character that isn't him. Like if you look at his Twitter and stuff like that, like he's a real dapper guy. Totally different. He used to be a baseball pitcher. He's not a wild animal or whatever they're trying to portray him as. So they're putting him up. You know, they have him go beat up one of their, biggest baby faces of all time, or I guess littlest if you're talking about Mysterio, and beat up Daddy and son. To the point where officials need to break you up, so they're trying to give him that big heat right away. So,
I see the direction that they're going, but this guy was joking about it actually that was sitting right behind me, and he said something about he'll be on the next budget cuts, and like I remember just looking at him and we both kind of just like chuckled a little bit because like
yeah, him and Nikki Ash and people like that. I agree with you. You know.
But yeah, so like you said, him coming out, getting that heat right away, I can see the direction that they're going, and hopefully this isn't a long program with him and Mysterio, because I'm not saying Mysterio deserves better at this stage in his career, but I feel like at least one more tag title run with Dom before he gets his send off or whatever goes on with him and Dom if they split up and have that one turn Dom turn heel or whatever they're gonna do with it. I feel like they deserve at least one more tag title run.
Yeah, I feel
just to give Dom a little bit more exposure and establishment,
Well, they need it because before they can split them, they got to make sure Dominic can actually wrestle. I don't know if he can even wrestle yet. If his name wasn't Mysterio, he wouldn't even be on NXT. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to hate on him. I've seen him do some nice stuff. I thought even in his WrestleMania matches, the couple minutes he got, he did some nice looking stuff. He did a nice top rope arm drag to a head scissor takeover, like arm dragging Logan Paul and head scissor and Miz at the same time. So that was kind of cool. But
that was a good, and that's what I was gonna say is like in ring, I don't think he's terrible. You know, I think he's pretty decent in the ring, but he can't talk on the mic.
he needs an incline bench press too. You know what I mean?
He just looks a little awkward just because the fact that I feel like his attire doesn't match him, and then like he looks so young still. You know, like he looks like he's just 15.
Yeah, he looks like he's 12. Now his ring gear is terrible. Who else has been? Austin Theory's a guy who, if he changed his ring gear, he would look so much better. I hate his ring gear. Whatever the hell it's supposed to be, I just don't think it looks good.
Maybe like if he had like a Miz like ring gear type thing, you know, like just the trunks because he wears like the little longer shorts, right?
Yeah, he wears like the boy shorts, and then he has that weird design on it that kind of looks like Aztec-y. If he just had like some plain, like a Randy Orton style.
Just like his like little logo or something on it.
Yeah, like that's fine. All this other crazy stuff on there. But yeah, Dominic always has a ridiculous, like, I don't like how he has like the vest and all that shit. But moreover, I just think that he's got no charisma, and he needs to learn. Like you said, on the mic, he's no good. So, but yeah, to get a split, they need
And
to get.
God, I hope they don't put a mask on him. That's all I gotta say too. With Dom.
Yeah, and then. So yeah, they're gonna with Veer. I don't see it lasting very long. Moving on, we had MVP turning on Lashley. Did people see this coming? And how did people react to it? Because Bobby got a big babyface reaction when he came out.
Yeah, he was getting cheers for sure. See, the thing that I caught was how MVP said that. What did he say? Something to do with how you beat him without me? Or did you recall what he said exactly?
Do I recall what Lashley said?
No, what MVP said to Lashley, like you beat him without me or whatever it was.
He was just saying, you didn't need me, and then he's telling.
Yeah, so right there, it kind of like raised a little red flag, like oh, is MVP gonna turn on Lashley, which ended up happening, and then.
Oh, I'm sorry. When he introduced him, he said, MVP beat Omos, or he said Lashley beat Omos without me, and then Lashley comes out, big reaction. Then Lashley starts saying, yeah, I was just waiting for Omos to make a mistake, and finally, when he did, I slammed his ass and I pinned him, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's when Omos comes out and saying, I want a rematch, and you can't really understand him, and then all of a sudden MVP hits him with the cane, and then as he's hitting him with the cane, he's saying, oh, you didn't need me, and then he's telling Omos to punish him.
Yeah, so I kind of seen like it coming, just because exactly what you just said with how he said that before Lashley came out or whatever. I kind of seen that coming just because the fact that he was saying like, oh, you beat him without me, like you don't need me type thing, Yeah. So then when the turn did happen, I wasn't like too shocked. I was like it caught me off guard because I thought, maybe a week or two from now.
Well, let me ask
let
you
MVP
this.
Come back with.
At WrestleMania, did you think it was strange that MVP wasn't with Lashley?
I thought it was strange when MVP wasn't with Lashley before Mania.
Yeah.
So it definitely raised like a little, it raised an awareness of what's going on with MVP, where has he been, And personally, I think they're going in the right direction though with giving Omos a mouthpiece, which I hate to say it, but I feel like they'll all will benefit from this. MVP can, move on to Omos, be a representative or manager, whatever you want to call it, role for him, and be that mouthpiece that he desperately needs. And then, maybe we get Lashley. I'm not saying Brock does great promo work, but maybe taking on more of a better promo than what he's used to,
Yeah. But yeah, Lashley, they've clearly been trying to turn him babyface lately. Came out to a big babyface reaction a couple weeks ago when he dropped Omos. and then he was full babyface the other night in Dallas. So that's where I think the direction I think having Lashley babyface, having Omos, last ditch effort, give him a mouthpiece and put him with somebody strong to try to get him, improve his work style. I think that's the best they can do right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like with Lashley being a babyface, when Roman finally does decide to come over to Raw and defend the title with a Raw guy, I feel like that puts Lashley in a position to where they can have them feud now. I guarantee you before the year's over, next year's Mania, if Roman's still champion over, we will see a Reigns and Lashley match.
Oh yeah, me too. He's definitely up there. He's one of the guys who needs to face him.
Who he hasn't faced yet.
Yeah,
so.
He needs to face him. He needs to face probably McIntyre again if he has faced him already. I don't even remember.
No, he hasn't yet.
Yeah, so he's McIntyre. The reason why they moved McIntyre to SmackDown was for them to eventually have a feud. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be the WrestleMania feud had Drew McIntyre not get hurt and had the COVID shit not happened, and then Lashley got hurt. A lot of shit got fucked up, but
yeah. And another guy I feel like we'll see again is maybe Rollins and Reigns. I don't know, maybe it's just a little weird with them both being heels, but
yeah,
that finish to the match at Rumble was just a little, it kind of set things up to where you could go in that direction again, and then maybe even Cody gets a shot at it. But
well, yeah, let's get to the title thing once we finish SmackDown, because Roman, I think what he's doing with the tag titles has something to do with what's about to happen with the main title.
All right, so where were we at Raw after Lashley and Omos? What was it next? Was it Bianca coming out?
Yeah, Bianca came out and cut a promo. I don't think we have to say too much about that unless you saw anything special.
Oh, just one thing is that her eye looks, man, that oof.
Yeah,
it looks rough.
She ran
That's all I gotta say about that.
She ran right into Becky's boot.
Yep.
When Becky tried a rolling thunder kick. I don't know what happened there. If one of them was out of position or if it was mistimed, but yeah, her eye looked bad. I've heard that they were gonna debut somebody, or not debut, but bring back somebody to confront her.
I feel like was supposed to come back.
Yeah, I thought Bayley was supposed to come back, but they held her off because they didn't want the confrontation happening with Bianca's eye all fucked up. But see, I wouldn't rule out Becky running it back with her at Backlash too.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
So, I don't know. But we also had Zelina Vega turn on Carmella. Was there any reaction there?
Little. I'm pretty sure people are more reacting more to them Carmella and Corey Graves making out after. So.
Yeah, it didn't seem like people liked that shit. It seemed like people were like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, you know what I mean?
I mean, I thought WWE is all PG and stuff, but man, she was shoving her tongue down his throat. So, who knows?
And we have Edge come out, explain himself, and then introduce Damian Priest as his first disciple. Everybody's telling him they don't care, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? I'll tell you how I feel about it. It's fine if they're doing this, but it's taking way too much time. Edge is way too overacting all of it, and I think that if they, like we were saying earlier, if they don't come up with a babyface faction to go against this, it's going to become annoying really fast. But
I feel like it'll just become repetitive.
Right.
They'll just keep beating down on someone, and then the next person, they'll find the next target, beat down on them. So it's like you said, they need to have a group to go against, or even if there's just two of them for now. But I've heard rumors of other people joining it. But even if, like you said, for now we just have it in a tag team match between AJ and someone else against Edge and Damian Priest. Which my thing is, though, which I was a little confused about with Damian Priest joining this whole thing, is I swore we were going to get that Damian Priest and Finn Balor, Demon Finn Balor versus Damian, or whatever we want to say, for the title, which I guess that's just scrapped now. You just forgot all about that.
It
just
looks
jump
like
into
they're
this faction with Edge.
Yeah, it seems like Austin Theory's moving into that position.
Yeah, and I can see Austin Theory taking the title from him.
Yeah, he's been pinning Balor left and right, in tag matches or whatever. So or attacking him during his matches. So I think that's going to be the next step with the U.S. title. They had Rhea Ripley leave Liv Morgan in the ring after they lost to Sasha Banks and Naomi. And then Liv begged for a title shot next week. They got it. Shows up on SmackDown to fight Sasha Banks. Rhea Ripley's not there. She rolls through a superplex and ends up sneaking in a victory over Sasha Banks. But the biggest story here is Rhea Ripley leaves Liv in the ring. She's one of the ones rumored to join Edge's faction. I think during the title match next week on Raw, we're going to see Rhea.
We get the full turn.
Well, yeah, we'll get the turn, and then we'll see her join with Edge after that.
I just hope that out of this, like, Liv Morgan doesn't get caught up in the mix of, not doing anything for the next 6 to 8 months. And that's the direction that I see it end up going. It's going to benefit Rhea a lot, but Liv's going to get caught up in the mix of just doing nothing, end up on main event. So,
yeah, with Rhea turning heel, it's going to put her in position to be able to challenge Bianca. And then,
I agree.
Which I think is something they've been planning and teasing and shit like that. But
that would be a great match, though, too. I have no complaints because I feel like that they're great workers, and their time together they spent in the ring, little of it, but they've put on.
But yeah, I don't see anything for Morgan like in the main title picture, but there's nothing stopping them from putting her with somebody else in the tag team to keep her relevant, I guess, But so that's happening there. Tommaso Ciampa is one of the other people rumored to be in this faction.
Yeah, I've read about that too.
And then we had the RK Bro match against whoever against the Usos. Usos had Theory with them. RK Bro
and then, had Balor.
Yeah, the whole thing. It was a decent match.
Balor got a pretty big reaction too.
Yeah, Balor,
from the crowd.
Balor gets a nice entrance, doesn't he?
Yeah, the crowd was super behind him, and then everyone doing his little thing, and it was funny. Like, I could see Orton and Riddle in the ring doing. Yeah, it was good, good shit.
Yeah, so it ends with all hell breaking loose. Everybody's hitting everybody, and Austin Theory sneaks up behind Balor, hits the ATL, pins him. So that's what I think foreshadowing for Austin Theory to probably beat Balor for the U.S. title. And then we get Street Profits and Alpha Academy for the millionth time. Still a decent match.
Yeah, it was a good match.
And then we get the main event where Roman basically tells us to tune into SmackDown. So we tune into SmackDown. We get a bunch of guys called up. We have Raquel Gonzalez called up, name changed to Raquel Rodriguez. She looks like a freaking giant that could kill anybody on the roster, any female on the roster. I hope that the Los Lotharios thing they did there with them coming in looking for a kiss isn't a lasting thing. I hope they get her into a better program. I hope she's not messing with Los Lotharios for too long. And we had Gunther come up with, he was a member of Imperium.
Yeah.
Marcel's name was changed to Ludwig Kaiser, which is fine.
And the other one just gets left in the dust. He's going to be in NXT just doing nothing now, so.
Hopefully they have something in the works for him, you know what I mean? Maybe he just wasn't ready and they get something going. Who knows?
But before we get into SmackDown, though, I just got to say, when Roman said, Dallas, acknowledge me, man, the place went nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy how over he is as a heel. And it's just crazy to think that that's the same Roman Reigns that everyone booed out of the building for winning the Royal Rumble a few years back and literally booed him out of the building for beating The Undertaker. It's crazy, the progression that he's made over the years. And, now it's him being the tribal chief, the head of the table, being we the ones and all that. It's just, it makes me shit. Exactly. And it makes me just look at wrestling wow, the fans can really just make or break your whole career type thing.
Yeah, but no, I know what you mean, man. When I've gone anywhere, everybody gets up when he comes. Everybody acknowledges him.
The ones in the air, everyone's ones are in the air, including me.
People only, and it's he has to cut his promos a certain way and say certain shit to remind you that you're not supposed to cheer for him. You know what I mean? And it's
like with the hug with Nakamura, how like he's like we're huggers now, this and that, and then he lets go of the hug, and then they get and then the Usos super kicking. So it's like just to
yeah,
remind everyone, like, hey, we're the bad guys here. You're supposed to be booing us.
right.
Oh yeah, you could jump back into SmackDown.
So yeah, the main points I wanted to get on SmackDown is we got the debuts, we got Butch in his first match, we got Lacey Evans returning her vignette. What do you think of Lacey Evans not returning as a Southern Belle, returning as the person with troubled childhood, ex-Marine, things like that? I thought this was
But I guess she's
very
gonna be a
authentic.
babyface then too. Yeah.
And is Lacey Evans the most excited? Am I the most excited to see Lacey Evans back? No, but I think bringing her back like this is the best way they can do it. And Cole said after she got done, "Oh, this will be. We'll see more from her next week." Whatever she said made me want to see what she says next week, and I think that they're saving her in these vignettes for after Backlash to bring back to challenge Charlotte or somebody. But
Yeah, I can see that happening.
what do you think about? So we had Raquel come up. We had Gunther. We had Lacey and her return. We had somebody else debut last night, didn't we?
I don't think. I think that was it. But did you catch McAfee? He accidentally called Butch Pete.
Yeah, it was funny. He called him Pete, and then he called himself. What do you think
Yeah.
of? So, Pete Dunne faces Xavier Woods in his first match. I thought that this match turned out the way that it should. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can cut it, but at the end of the day, they're trying to portray Butch as this little pistol, as this scrappy guy who might get out of control sometimes. So he kind of controlled the match. He was beating down Woods, but ended up getting carried away. Woods rolled up Butch, won the match,
With
and
the
then
roll up.
with the roll up, the cheap roll up that Woods calls a signature move. Yeah, and then you get Butch attacking Holland and Sheamus after the match. So a lot of people said Butch should have won in his first match. Yada yada yada.
I agree, but with the way that the program's going, I understand why Xavier won, but I would have liked to see Butch win.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, what they're trying to get over is that if Butch loses, he'll get pissed off enough to beat up his own friends. So
Yeah.
watch out, no matter what. And like Butch might kick your ass the whole match, and then he makes this mistake. But if he doesn't make that mistake next time, you're not rolling him up. So I still think
exactly.
I still think Butch the character got over. I just think a lot of people are upset that his first match, it appears he's getting buried by, let's face it, Xavier Woods is somebody that a lot of people think's really annoying, and so if he beats anybody new, it's going to look like a burial. But I say, they're going to build momentum with Butch. They know what they have in them. They know Pete Dunne's a good wrestler.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, so they changed a lot of names. A lot of people were talking about this shit. And, like, do you have a problem with the name changes?
I do. I feel like that. I understand why they do it, like reestablish them or whatever on the main roster, this and that. But at the end of the day, that's Pete Dunne, and you can't take away like the accomplishments he had in NXT UK. And it's like that's what I feel like they're trying to do. It's like take that away from him by changing his name and have him appear as somebody else,
Yeah, I think, like, the part about taking away his accomplishments, like, if I don't know that they're blatantly trying to do that, but if that happens, I think that's definitely a negative to it. But I can see why they do it, even beyond, like people say they're doing it so they own the name, they have the intellectual property. But to me, it's more like what you said, one of the things you said, it's more like an evolution of them. Like, when they were in NXT or NXT UK, that was more like being in the minor leagues. Now they're moving up, and the company wants you to view them differently as an evolved version of what you used to know of them. I don't think they want you to forget what they did, even if they don't refer to it enough. I just think that they want you, number one, they want everybody to understand this isn't the NXT version of this. This is a better version. This is the new version.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Which I get where they're coming from, but do you think that they're going to reference the fact that we have a former NXT UK champion, but with him or Walter,
Not any,
or not Walter?
just because the fact that I know what you're saying, because Gunther was the big
yeah.
champion over in
Gunther,
UK forever, and they should acknowledge that. And Cole did say he was internationally one of the most decorated people, which is a very vague way of acknowledging his past accomplishments. I think because they turned NXT into strictly developmental, they don't like to refer to it because they don't like to consider it equal to what they did. But then again, how is that any different than touting somebody's NCAA accolades or their, you know what I'm saying? So I hear where you're coming from. I agree with you. I see both sides of it is what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
And I agree with that. But I also hear them say, like, for, let's just say, a regular guy like Rollins, who's won the regular NXT title, they'll mention the fact that, or not specifically him, but they'll say former NXT champion, like he's won, like they'll name his accolades. I don't think they're going to do the same thing for how Butch and Gunther have won the NXT UK title.
Yeah, so when you bring in those parts of it, that I have a problem with. The name change itself, I don't care about, but if you're changing the name and taking away their accolades, that's where I have a problem with it.
It's like it's supposed to be just a brand new person. Like, here you go, this is our manufactured version of the formerly known as,
And that's okay too, as long as they say, but he still did this, and that's why he's here.
And give him the establishment and like the recognition like that they both deserve because they worked their ass off over there,
Yeah, and while we're at it, like I said, part of it's they're trying to. Not everybody who watches Raw watches NXT, right? So they're trying to introduce this new character, but at the same time, recognizing what they used to do would help people accept them more. That don't.
Or maybe have him go back and be like, I want to see how they won the title. I want to see who they were feuding with at the time and stuff like that,
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think that there's a reason why they do it with certain people. Sometimes I think it's unnecessary. Sometimes I think it works. But I think regardless of what they do, they shouldn't disregard what somebody already did. But yeah, I think we talked enough about that one.
Yeah, we have like the same understanding of how we feel on that though.
Yeah, so we had Gunther last night. Now the big thing last night was Ronda Rousey came out, and before everybody fell asleep from her promo, she challenged Charlotte to an I Quit match. Charlotte didn't want to do it, and then she begs Adam Pearce for it. Pearce says we'll find out tomorrow, so find out Saturday about that. But that's going to happen. It's going to be an I Quit match, probably a Backlash. I think that's pretty. It's nice that match has a stipulation now. At least it'll be a nice brawl. But, and
not a weird finish again.
Yeah, we had McIntyre totally destroy Sami Zayn. Zayn was afraid to face him. They're going to fight each other next week. The match ended in a count out because Zayn ran away.
Yep.
It looks like that might be a pay-per-view program if they're fighting again next week, but who knows? Maybe they're just going to fight a real match next week and not have a count out. But
I could see maybe a disqualification or something like that happening next week instead, Yeah. Zayn just keep avoiding the problem, like avoiding McIntyre with the problem, and eventually set up maybe, like a no disqualification match at the pay-per-view or something like that.
Yeah, it seems like right now they're heating up McIntyre for like SummerSlam or something to feud with Roman. And we'll skip all the way to the main event now. We had Roman come out, say, he's won his gold, but it's not enough gold. Usos only have 2 belts. They need 4. He wants to send them to Raw to beat RK Bro and unify the Raw or unify the tag titles. Then we hear Shinsuke Nakamura come out. The crowd's singing his music.
Yeah.
He ends up eating 2 super kicks from the Usos. But I think he came out there because that's going to be Roman's next opponent. But having said that, this shit with that. I don't know that we're gonna see the tag titles get unified. I think RK Bro could easily win that. I think the Usos could fuck this up. I think it could end up being a thing where RK Bro wins, and then Orton says, Roman face me for these tag belts and put your WWE belt on the line. Something will happen where he's got to get that belt back on that show. Now, maybe it doesn't happen for a while. The other option is you put him in a triple threat with, like, Rollins and Lashley, and you have 2 out of 3 falls. One falls for one belt, or 2 falls. One falls for one belt, one falls for the other one. And then Seth pins Lashley for the WWE belt, but then Roman still pins Lashley or Seth for the Universal title, so he still walks away as a Universal Champion. But I think right now we're going to have to deal with him feuding with Shinsuke while they're heating up these other guys, and while these other guys are getting out of their feuds like Lashley and McIntyre, and then we'll see him against them in the summertime. I think Cody's a little further down the road. I think, like you said, Seth is one of the guys on the near horizon, and I don't know what the hell to make of the tag team thing. I don't think it's a good thing to unify them, but
I don't think so either.
yeah, I think it
Like,
takes.
I understand it from the standpoint as there's not a lot of actual tag teams in WWE. Like, even on SmackDown, for one, SmackDown's really short on tag teams. Like, at least on Raw, we have 3 pretty established tag teams. But besides the Usos and then the New Day, which we've seen them feud 100 times, who really is there on SmackDown? What, the Viking Raiders?
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, they're shallow. I mean, Lotharios, I think, are pretty good. They just don't get enough action.
Yeah, they don't really get the screen time either. Like, they have their whole thing with the kiss cam and this and that. But
and then
besides that,
the
they're not really
Viking
getting
Raiders.
pushed.
But then if you take that belt away, then you have those 4 teams with nothing to fight over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anybody
Yeah, I
else,
agree.
and they can always put together tag as they get more guys on the roster. They can put together these tag teams that people think are makeshift tag teams, just like RK Bro was to begin with. But that ends up working out. You never know. But I just think unifying all these titles is going to end up eventually being a problem. And I don't know. To me, the title unification with the main belt really wasn't supposed to happen. Like I said, I think it was like something they teased when the COVID thing happened, and then Lashley got hurt, and then they kind of were like, fuck, we kind of had to do this because we can't have anybody beat Lesnar, and then he's going to have the belt when he faces Roman, so we had to do it this way. And I think that's going to end soon, and I think something's going to derail this title unification with the tag belts. But if it doesn't, who knows, man? But where do you see this going? Where do you see Roman going from here? And that'll pretty much be it for what we got.
So from here, I see him feuding with Shinsuke. They'll probably have the match at WrestleMania Backlash. That'll probably be the program there. And then, like you said, with the other guys heating up, I feel like after that, maybe we get a guy on Raw, maybe challenges for it. Maybe a Rollins or Lashley, like you said. But besides that, I really can't see it. And I agree with you how you said Cody's going to be more down the line. Maybe towards Rumble we get Cody and Roman, or if the belts are split back into both SmackDown and Raw, which I think both shows need a main title, just for the fact that both shows deserve a main title, for one being owned by Fox and one being by the USA Network, that they both want their own titles. Like, that's been well known. Like, I've read like a lot of reports on that. But yeah, so for the direction, I feel like I said, for now it's going to be with Shinsuke with Nakamura, and then he'll probably head over to Raw, feud with a guy on Raw, and then maybe by SummerSlam we get the titles back to being on each show, like one title on each show.
And do you think it'll be like a singles challenge, or do you think it'll be some kind of thing where they protect Roman, like I was saying, in a triple threat where they have someone else get pinned or something? So
I can see them doing a triple threat for just the WWE title. I don't think they want to take that Universal title off him, especially because how long he's had it.
Yeah.
I can see him holding it to next year's SummerSlam. Past Mania, next year's SummerSlam, I can see him holding it too. Especially if they're setting up this whole him and Rock thing, which who knows what's going on with that. But if that does happen, Roman has to win that.
Yeah, the rumors are that Rock's going to come back at Survivor Series because that's when he debuted, and that next year's WrestleMania will be The Rock and Roman. And there's no way that Roman's not going to be the champion. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I think that everything you said is pretty much on point. Do you think they're going to unify these tag belts, or do you think that's kind of a distraction or something?
I think that they're going to do it. I feel like they've already pulled the trigger with the whole Roman thing. Let's get the whole bloodline with all the gold. That's how I feel like that's the direction they want to go in. Now, do I see it happening on Monday Night Raw? No. I see it happening in the near future, maybe the next pay-per-view, but I feel like if it does happen in the next pay-per-view at Backlash, then we're going to eventually set up Randy and Riddle, which I would want their program to actually like be on SummerSlam, because that's like where they like first like formed or whatever. They first won the tag title, I think, at SummerSlam last year. So if they do have that match against each other, I would like to see it at SummerSlam, like have it come full circle, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think if the Usos do win the Raw belts from them, and the Bloodline has all that gold, I mean, sure, I think that's a good look and it could happen, but I don't think that it'll permanently unify the tag division. Eventually, the Usos will have to drop those. I don't know to who. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just don't see a permanent merge of all the belts.
I don't see a permanent one either, just because, like I said, with the marketing standpoints from both Fox and USA, they both wanted to have their own championship, which I completely understand too. And plus, the brand split, I'm a big fan of the brand split, you know, and I hate the fact that we have people jumping here, jumping there, jumping there. Roman, yes, he can, and the Bloodline, just because they're in that faction with him, do you think that they should be able to go back and forth? Because I know some people are like iffy about that. No, it should just be Roman.
I'm way more soft on the brand split than a lot of people. I think it's okay if it makes sense. If, like, for example, with the women's tag stuff, there's only one women's tag belt, so they got to go back and forth. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, because just the fact that there's only one of those, you know.
Especially if it's a championship program, I don't care if they're going back and forth. If it's a random ass SmackDown person going after a random ass Raw person, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Because why wouldn't they have drafted them to the same show? And
I had a problem with Big E coming over from Raw going to SmackDown just because Xavier was hurt, so he could team with Kofi. I had a problem with that just because they didn't tell us why. All of a sudden, Big E's just on SmackDown now.
Yeah, they said in passing they were like, yeah, Big E's been traded to SmackDown now, so he'll be
traded for who?
Exactly. They didn't say.
And that's why
they didn't say who he was traded for. What Raw got? I mean, Raw got to not have Big E on it. And I don't have a problem with Big E. I just didn't think that his title run was memorable. Unfortunately,
not at all.
But
not at all.
You know, it sucks that he got hurt. I'm interested to see him get back, see what happens, and stuff like that. But since you were at WrestleMania, man, what was the best moment of WrestleMania for you?
Definitely hearing that glass break. It had to be hearing that glass break, man. It was just, like I said, the place erupted. So it was just a moment that I'll never forget. Like, hearing the place go crazy, getting the goosebumps, like seeing Steve Austin like come out and give everyone stunners and drinking the beer. It was just fun. That's really the word I can use. It was just fun seeing all that.
Awesome, man. Well, it sounded like a good time. It seems like with a lot of things, they're headed in at least somewhat of a positive direction. You know what I mean? Not everything we want to see has happened yet, but there's some intriguing stuff happening with the tag belts and with I Quit matches and whatever. And plus, there's people that haven't made a return yet that we're expecting, so it should get pretty exciting coming up.
Yeah, it should be a pretty solid few months of WWE. So I'm excited for where the programs are going, and I'm just excited to be a wrestling fan right now. I'll keep it at that.
Yep, me too, man. I think it's a good time for it. I think that's all we got for today. I'm going to take us out. Stay on the line.
I appreciate you having me, and shout out to the show and everything else for future accomplishments.
All right, man. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being with us, everybody. Remember to tune in next time.